Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Defining Discipline podcast. I'm your host, Scott. Defining discipline is a lifestyle, a mentality, and a brand. And within this podcast, we're going to focus on self improvement as you follow along with me on my journey. We will also hear from special guests of all walks of life on this podcast and their remarkable journeys that led them to where they are today. Today is day 175 of my journey. It was at the beginning of the year when I challenged myself to run 365 days in a row this year, all outside bearing the elements whatever they may bring. I have also challenged myself to run 1,500 miles within this time frame. Now this is only my second year ever running. The first year in 2020, I was able to run 175 days out of the year, and I got 1,002 miles done within the year. So this will be a 50% step up in the amount of miles I'm going for this year, 1,500, as well as a 100% step up in the amount of days I'm going for, 365 compared to the 175 that I did in 2020. This year, I have also challenged myself to do two big races, one being a 50K trail race in Yankee Springs, Michigan. It is an ultra marathon. And I also have challenged myself to do a regular marathon, the Detroit Free Press Marathon, in October. The ultra marathon has been finished. I got that done in 7 hours and 15 minutes on June 5th. It was a great race, awesome, really stoked and excited about it. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, you can go back to the past episode where I talk about that. I am kind of writing down now from that as we speak. Still, but that was a great race. Now we are in training mode and getting ready for the marathon coming up here in October. I am going to be signing up for the Motor City Challenge as well within that marathon, which includes running the mile and the 5K the day before the actual marathon. So I'll be doing that as well. And then I'm kind of right now looking in the hunt to add another big race here in 2022, but that has nothing really to do with these challenges, but just throwing that out there, looking for the next ultra marathon. I will probably throw another 50K in there in early 2022, but that will be training for a 50 miler is what I'm really looking forward to and for coming here in 2022. So other than that, let's kind of just talk about daily mileage. So today was day 175, like I said before. We're going to kind of talk about that here in our episode. We'll get to that. I don't want to spoil it. So, but let's talk about miles. So for the day today, I put in 3.6 miles for the day, which put me at exactly 13.5 miles for the week. And I am at 106.1 miles for the month of June, which put me at 766.3 miles for the year. Now, before we break into today's episode, let's focus on these monthly miles of 106.1. Every single month, I do a 100-mile challenge, and I do it in honor of a charity in which I donate money, and I run 100 miles and try to start a fundraiser. So I don't try to start. I start a fundraiser where I try to raise money and awareness for that charity as well. That coincides with me running and my donation. So for the first 5 months, we were able to raise money for 5 great charities. Now we're sitting here in the 6th month, the month of June, and we're raising money for the Alzheimer's Association, because here in the month of June, it is in honor of Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month is the month of June. So if you would like to make your donation to this month's fundraiser, you can find the link to do so on the Defining Discipline Instagram story, as well as the Defining Discipline Facebook story. You may also find the link on my personal page's Instagram story and my personal page's Facebook story. On top of all the stories, it'll say donate on Facebook. You click on that, it'll open up the Facebook link in which you will be able to make your donation. All donations that get made to this fundraiser go directly to this fundraiser. Facebook takes 0% of your donation. So every little penny out of your donation goes directly to this charity. That's why we continue to do it through Facebook every single month, because they've have made that agreement not to take any portion of the donations made. Now, I know times are tough and not everyone is able to afford to make a donation. I get that. I understand it. One thing you can do, though, if you still want to help out, and even if you do make a donation, another thing you can do to help out even more is to click that share button. The main thing we're trying to do these months, guys, is raise awareness for these charities. Let's just get it out there so people can even just get their eyes on it, see what it's about, understand what they are raising awareness for and what they're raising the funds for. So click that share button. We're just trying to get as many eyes on it as possible. There's plenty of people that I don't know that are on your friends list. If you hit that share button, tell them to share it, and we just get it out there. That's the main thing, and we're also trying to raise money, so maybe even you clicking that share button, maybe someone on your friends list will make a donation, and you'll be surprised. So just hit that button. It's going for a good cause. Let's really share these charities and get them out there. Other than that, let's kind of just get into today's episode. Before we get into today's episode, quick recap. So I am reading a book. The book is Beyond Order by Jordan Peterson. It is the second book in his 12 Rules for Life series. I was able to read more pages last night. So still in chapter 1. Come to find out, chapter 1 is like 50 something pages, and I'm only in like the 20s, so I'm about almost halfway through chapter 1, which is actually rule 1. And then I'll kind of talk about the chapter in general and what I took from it. But the book itself is great. I'm putting in just right around 30 minutes now. Again, a day. There was a couple days I missed out, but that is the goal. And other than that, we are doing Word of the Day now, because the main thing about me reading and talking about my reading, as well as talking about these words of the day, is because I've been trying to become more literate and expand my vocabulary and just become a better speaker and just understand things a little bit more. So the word of the day today is forswear. It is to make a liar of oneself under or as if under oath. To reject or renounce under oath. To renounce earnestly. To deny under oath, or to swear falsely. So that is today's word of the day, forswear. Now we can get into today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, and whoever else may be listening. That being said, today is day 175. I said we were going to kind of talk about that, because today's episode is contrast, ladies and gentlemen. That is today's theme, contrast. And it is that because today holds a special day in my heart. Today represents the same exact amount of days I ran last year. So I have officially ran the same amount of days I ran last year in 2020. My first year ever running, I ran 175 days. It took me 365 days to run 175 days. So I really wanted to kind of break that down and talk about numbers and talk about just really comparing the two and contrasting them to seeing, one, overall, how much I did in 2020. Okay, we talked about that. 175 runs all throughout 2020. Only 175 days I ran. And I only got about 1,000, or I got exactly 1,002 miles. I don't have the official hours on that for full 2020. But let's just talk about up to this exact date, the 24th of June last year. That's what we were going to contrast and compare against. So we know I ran 175 days. I ran 175 days today in a row. So that alone is amazing compared to last year. So I ran the same amount of days last year. But that is unfair, like I said, comparing 365 days against 175 days, my mileage, because my mileage for 175 days this year is only 766.3, and 175 days last year was 1,002, but again, that was throughout 365 day span. So we're going to do a 175 day span, and we're going to compare mileage, we're going to compare hours, and we're going to compare runs to see how much I have improved in just 1 year of running. And remember, if you haven't followed along, but if you have been following along, remember I started officially running in mid to late October 2019, and was able to run 100 miles before the new year of 2020, which sparked the energy and the ambition to try to run 1,000 miles in the year 2020. That's before any of the COVID or anything hit. That was my goal, to run 1,000 miles and to do the marathon. COVID hit, and it kind of threw a little wrench in the marathon, official marathon, but I was still able to hit both those goals in 2020. So let's start comparing some numbers here. So in 2020, all the way up to June 24th, I ran 87 times. So this year I ran 170 times. Last year, 87 times. That is a difference of 88 runs. That is a 100% step up. I ran double the amount of runs I have last year. So that is a pretty big improvement right there, just on the amount of runs I've put in so far this year. Body's held up pretty good so far. Not to even mention the runs I put in, yes, are pretty good, but I have also really challenged myself this year with some crazy things, as well as putting in a half marathon at least every single month. So that's 6 months of a half marathon at least. Also ran a 50K so far this year. And still putting in the streak of 175 days in a row. It's a big step up this year compared to last year, especially with the amount of runs. Like I said, 87 last year, 175 this year. That is a difference of 88. Now let's talk about hours. So last year, within that time frame, I put in 77 hours to make 87 runs. I put in 77 hours. So this year, 175 runs, I put in 124 hours. So it's a little bit different, not as much as a difference, 47 hour difference. So I only put in 47 more hours this year, not double the hours, but still a good portion. So feeling good on that. Now let's talk about mileage. So last year in 2020, I officially put in, to this day, in June 24th, from January 1st, 2020 to June 24th, 2020, I put in 443 running miles. This year, I was able to put in 766.3. So that is a difference of 323.3. Again, not exactly 100%, but definitely a lot more closer to 100% than the other one was, the middle one of the hours difference. So that's a difference of 323 more miles this year. And the year is almost, we got, I think, 6 more days left until we're exactly right about halfway through the year. So think about that. At this rate, let's just say I finish with 6 more days left. Let's see, I finish at 3, a difference of, 340. And then we double that. So we'll just be a little. Well, no, we'll go back. We'll stay with 340. So 680. Maybe that's the number. Maybe I will end this year around 1,680. Maybe that's the key number. With if I keep up this pace that I'm at currently, I think that would be where I would finish off this year at. So that's kind of just the comparison from last year to this year. You know, and I just want to kind of put the emphasis that a lot of people whenever you start following along with me, or if you've known me a long time, this is less than a 2-year process right here. I haven't even been running for a full 2 years yet, and I'm putting up these numbers, which yes aren't great, but I am 32 years old, going to be 33 this year. Started running at 31, so it's not probably the best time to start a running career, but my body's been holding up, feels pretty good, and I've been able to really see the improvement within my running and within the amount of runs I'm able to do, the amount of hours I'm able to do this year, the amount of more miles I'm able to do this year. Just comparing and contrasting, I can just see it right here, just in the numbers, with not even just the way I feel, just in the numbers. Clearly, whatever method I am doing, which we could talk about, I will be open with my method of my approach towards these runs, especially with being able to put in big races and continue the streak. I have a somewhat secret. It's not too big of a secret, but we will talk about that within maybe another episode. But, it's just I can really see the improvement from last year to this year. And like I said, it's just a really big step up this year. I'm really excited. Today was kind of, like I said, a milestone to know that from here on out is the new bar. So however many days or activities I put in from here on out is the new going to be the new record for a year. So the goal is 365. That is the goal. I can always put two workouts in a day just to get it off and do 366 or something. But I think I'm trying to keep it just nice and clean, nice and even. I don't want to do a day where I put in 2 different runs, just because it's harder to try to explain the amount of miles when I'm trying to hit a mileage as well. So this year I'm just trying to keep it simple with single runs. So I think I'm going to try to do a record of just 365 activities in a year. But, who knows? There's always next year to continue. Maybe I do 2 runs a day and then still do the streaks. Who knows? We'll see. But the point is, progress is there. Sometimes when you're in it, that's something I can also talk about real quick is, when you're in it and you're doing it and you're putting in all the work, sometimes it's really hard to see the progress. Sometimes it's hard to really feel the progress day in, day out, doing the same thing over and over and over again. A lot of people think I enjoy it. Yes, I do. Sometimes it is. When I get out there and I get back, I feel a lot better and I enjoy that feeling. But there's a lot of days I really have to fight mentally just to get out there and to start running. And like I said, sometimes you don't really see it or feel the improvements. You can see it sometimes. You'll get some PRs here and there, but putting in the work day in and day out, sometimes you really start to feel crazy and start to question yourself and question your training and thinking like, well, maybe I'm not improving. Maybe this is a dumb idea. Maybe yada yada yada. Seinfeld reference right there. But the whole point is when you start putting in the work and you get years of data that you can actually really start to look back on. And like I said, I actually went back and wrote it all down. And if compared to the day from, last year to this year, to the day of how many days, 175 days into the year, how many runs have I put in this year compared to last year? How many miles? How many hours? And the data's there, and it's right here in my face, and I can see the improvement, and then I do feel it. Like I said, my body feels better. I haven't had any ailments. Like I came across a few ailments last year, so this year's been a lot better with that as well. But in general, it's really nice to do these apps and stuff, and to have these watches and these activity trackers, and to do it. I know a lot of people, some people I tell, get an activity tracker, even just if you're not going to be running or anything like that. It's kind of nice to have the data. A lot of people don't really understand. You can really, like, this data. Sometimes it does seem pointless, but just looking at this, it just gives me, like, right now I want to get out there and start busting out more. Like, I feel it. It feels good to look at this and see the improvement I have made in just 1 year compared to last year. And like I said, I started this process at 31 years old. I'm about to be 33, about to be finally 2 years into running this. So it's an experiment, and so far it's been working, and I feel great. And today's episode was about doing that, contrasting and comparing, this year compared to last year, the amount of days compared to miles compared to hours. And that's what we've done. And we got the data to show for it, guys. You can actually even follow all this. You can find this on my Strava account. You can follow along with all that data if you're looking for anything like that. Other than that, though, let's talk about your daily discipline for the day, guys. And it is to contrast. It is to really, look back on your life and to look where you're at now. And are there differences? Make some comparisons. Has your job changed? Has your income changed? Has your significant other changed? What changes have been made? What changes have you been really meaning to make that you haven't really started to make? What improvements do you really need to do? So start pulling something out and contrasting it, and really seeing the differences that you've made over these years. And if there aren't many, maybe that's a reason to really start making some. Because like I said, you would ask me a few years ago, I really fell into a slump where I felt like I wasn't doing a lot of things, and I felt like I couldn't contrast and compare, because every year was the same. I just wasn't obtaining anything. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't pushing myself to be better. I was just existing. And then I really kind of got the energy and the mentality to push myself and do this. And now look at it. I'm writing this stuff down, and I can see the improvements right here, right now. So contrasting really helps out. Figure out what you need to really do to change your life. Where do you want to be, and where are you? And where are you, and where did you come from? Look at those differences. Contrast and compare, So here's my 2020, here's my 2021. There's the difference between them. And, I haven't talked about it today. I will once we get closer. But yes, I already got in my head, 2022 mentality, 2022 goals. So I got the ideas in my head. I'm waiting for them to, to develop a little bit more and get a definitive answer of what I'm going to be doing. Like I said, I do want to do a couple more races. I want to do one right in the beginning of the year. That's probably another 50K to train for a 50 miler. So that is something I have talked about, but I don't have the official, races or anything like that. And we're still focusing really on this year. But I do want to get those races lined up, because it's kind of nice to have something to look forward to right after that next race is done. That was something that kind of really helped me out this past race. Finishing this 50K, I finished, and it was kind of like a high, and then a really low, because I was like, well, what next? But thankfully I had the marathon lined up to think, all right, well, this race was great. It was one of the best times I had. Not the physically best time that I finished in, but just overall time I've ever had in my life. I had a great time out there, best experiences I've ever had, I should say. I wanted to improve on my time. So then the next thing I was thinking is like, all right, well, I need a new race. What's the next race where I can really work on my time now? Oh, well, I got the Detroit Marathon coming up. That's where I'm going to start focusing on. I got that. So that's kind of the mentality from here on out. I do want to have a race lined up after the marathon. So when that's finished, I got something to look forward to after. So other than that, guys, you got your daily discipline today. It is to start contrasting some things in your life and really figuring out how you evolved, and if you haven't evolved, where you need to evolve and how to evolve. So, again, thank you so much for following along and listening. This is the Defining Discipline podcast. This is episode 175. I'm going to make sure I get my reading done tonight, Beyond Order. We've discussed the word of the day. Make sure you guys can, if you can, please make some donations to this month's fundraiser. And if not, please get that button a share and just share it on your page so we can get as many eyes on this fundraiser and raise awareness for it as well this month here in June for Alzheimer's Association. Again, other than that, thanks so much for listening. Episode 175. I am your host, Scott. This is the Defining Discipline podcast. Please give us a like, a subscribe, a share, and a follow on our Instagram, our Facebook, our TikTok, our YouTube, and whatever podcast streaming platform you guys have been listening along on. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow for episode 176. Make sure you guys stay disciplined and get your daily discipline done. Peace out.